Welcome back, guys. In the last video we have enabled these developer options, and in this video we want to have a closer look on them. We go briefly over most of them, but two are very special. One is the pointer location and the other one is the Bluetooth lock. So for this video right now we start with the pointer location, which is absolutely underrated, and in this video I will show you why. So let's have a look. Alright, here we are back at the Ubuntu VM, and yes, we have enabled those developer options. So what we need to do is simply plug in an USB cable into this device. Let's do this. Alright, and then we are opening a new shell and we type in ADB shell to make a connection to see if everything is working. Let's see. Yes, alright. If the screen changes from this fancy color to walleye, then we know now we are on the device. Perfect. This one is working, which means we can now establish we can now transfer the screen on our laptop with screen copy, because this one is using ADB. All right, here we have it. In case if you encounter some errors, there is a huge section in the cheat sheet which describe, I guess, most of these errors I have encountered in the last 7 years. The things that might occur right now is a screen appearing on your smartphone, because if you do not check this box, do not always trust it, you have to accept it all the time. The other one could be that USB 3 is not enabled on this device. I have encountered this causes some problems. And the last one is that USB charging is enabled. So simply go into the data transfer option on your into the USB option of your device this way. Here we can see charging device via USB, and sometimes I do not know why we have to select file transfer, and then we also get access to the SD card and things like this. Okay, alright, in my case it works with no data transfer, but I have encountered some issues with this, so please try this out. Alright, back to this one. So let's have a brief look into some useful developer options and then a closer look onto the pointer location. Alright, so system, advanced, developer options. Here we have them. The first one is memory usage bug report. It's regarding to developers, so that's not that interesting. This one, enable Bluetooth HCI Snoop lock. This will be a separate video afterwards, because this is super amazing, and we will use this to analyze a mobile application that communicates with a Bluetooth low energy device. Then we will create this lock and see what information can we get out of this, and also how we can use them to hack another application. The tempo is really fast regarding to the beginning right now, but don't worry. This is only in this section where we get introduced to this device and all these options. Later on, if we perform some exercises, we start very slow and then increase further more, because I do not want to get too fast into one topic. So after this section, after the device instruction, I guess it will be more convenient curve into all this Android app hacking. All right? Okay. What's also interesting is this OEM unlocking. So the bootloader is already unlocked. The bootloader is being protected, but we can unprotect it by unlocking it. And this means we can now flash custom ROMs on this device. For example, Lineage OS, or also a custom recovery like TeamWin Project, I guess, TWRP it's the short term. So this one allows us to flash a certain binary on this device, for example, the Magist binary, which enables root access on a device. I do not want to go too deep into rooting a device, because it's different for every manufacturer, for every version, for every device model and things like this. So it cannot be summarized in one video. But nevertheless, you will find a routing example for most common devices in the cheat sheet. In case if you have certain questions, write me a message. I try my best to help you out on this. But keep in mind, if the routing goes wrong, you might brick your device. And routing is not required for this course, because all we do with root access is already enabled in our virtual machine. So you do not need to brick any device for this course over here. Okay? In my case, I had two hard bricks. So there is a soft brick, which means we can recover it via software, but a hard brick means we do not get access to this device anymore. And yes, I bricked two in my last 7 years. So it was at the beginning. You can really make quickly a mistake, and therefore, be careful if you're doing this. Alrighty, then what else do we have? The rest not that interesting. USB debugging, This is the key feature. Let's see. Select debug app. This is also pretty cool. We can debug applications on our Android device. And if we select this one over here, it means if we start this application, then a debug port will be enabled, which can be used to attach to it. So we can then attach to this debug port and inspect the memory, change variables, pause and halt on certain functions, and yeah, do a lot of funny things. We will have a chapter on this at the end of this course because debugging, it's a little bit more complex. All right? Okay. If we talk about debugging, then also this wait for debugger, because if we start this application and if we try to attach to this, the application needs to pause immediately. Otherwise, we lose the information if the application has been already started and executed some code. So that's what this one is being used for. If this is being enabled, the application starts, but it doesn't run. So it immediately halts after starting this app, and we can then attach to it and we have the whole code in front of us. All right? Okay. Then let's see. The rest is not that interesting. Wi-Fi stuff, okay. Yes, here we've got the pointer location, but I guess we missed this mocking location, so where we can fake GPS coordinates. Let's quickly scroll up before we dive too deep into this. Okay, for whatever reason, I'm not seeing it right now, but I mean, this is why we have this search button over here. So let's use this, and we are searching for mock. Select mock location app, and here we have it. All right. So this one is also pretty handy. We can use this to fake GPS coordinates for certain applications, but there's a little downside to this one because this does not work for all apps, which means, for example, the Google Maps application doesn't rely on this one. We cannot fake GPS coordinates for Google Maps. It also may affect other applications, but don't worry, I have a better solution for this one. In the Frida section, where we talk about runtime manipulation, we will hook into the memory of our application, or let's say into the memory of our smartphone, and then we can exchange classes, methods, variables, instances, objects, all this kind of stuff. Absolutely amazing, right? So we will use this to exchange the information in the method that retrieves the GPS location for a smartphone, which means every time an application fetches GPS coordinates, we can make the decision what coordinates should be transferred to this application. Which means we can be everywhere on this whole planet for every application on our device. This is absolutely awesome, and yeah, this is what we're going to do in the Frida section, okay? Alright, then back to the pointer location, and let's scroll down, or let's simply use the search. Let's use the search. Pointer location. Alright, here we have it. So, pointer location, screen overlay showing current touch data. You might ask yourself the question, why should this be that hypey right now? Is hypey even a word? I guess yes. If not, we are creating this right now. So why should this be absolutely hypey? The reason for this is we can use this in many ways. For example, if we are testing banking applications, then we have to insert a lot of data all the time. Large numbers and things like this into certain form fields. By having the pointer location, we can address these form fields in our own scripts. We can write short scripts that fill out several form fields, perform events on this device, and yeah, other amazing things. But before I keep talking, why not simply figuring this out, right? So let's enable pointer location, and now we can see we've got a new touch bar over here. So let's go back, now it's a little bit more visible. So here we can see X, Y, XV, YV, and some other stuff. If we now perform and click on our device, we can also simulate it with the left mouse button. Then we've got those lines, which shows us the exact position of our cursor. And on the top navigation, we can now see the X and Y coordinates of our mouse button. If we now drag around, then we can also see where our mouse has moved. So these are very useful information to also hack certain applications, for example, online games. But keep in mind, manipulating online games to get an advantage is not allowed. So you are not allowed to do this unless you have the permission of the author. I couldn't find an author that gives me the permission to do this, therefore I have created my own app. And if I show this right now to you, you might ask yourself the question why I'm still doing app hacking and not app developing, because this application is absolutely awesome. So therefore, let's have a look into this one, because this is a mobile game where the principle this game is based on is used in a large amount of mobile games out there. So let's see how we can manipulate this. All right. Now we have a lot of new topics thrown into this video, and the tempo is really fast right now, but don't worry. During this course we will start a little bit more slow on new topics, but I just want to give you some impressions what we are going to do in this course right now. I mean, it's not even close to be the final level, but I guess it's already fun at the beginning. Okay, so if we go into the attachment of the section, we will find mobile game. I have already downloaded it. And here we have it. It's named App Game APK. Sounds absolutely promising, but nevertheless, let's install it. So here we've got an APK file, and an APK file, it's a mobile application bundled into this file. This is now a real app. Normally we do not see those files because we install it by the Google Play Store, and therefore we are not seeing an APK. But if you're not installing an application, if you write our own, then we will output it into an APK. And this one can be now installed via the ADB shell, so without having the Google Play Store even on our device. How can we do this? Well, let's see. I'm doing a right click, open in terminal. Later on we will have an extensive view into all these ADB commands, but for now I just want to provide you some impressions about this app hacking course. Okay, so if you want to install it, we are using ADB install and then the name. We need to have an ADB connection, so maybe you need to perform an ADB shell to see if everything works, then you can exit out and install it in this way. Otherwise, if you run ADB install, it should automatically happen that an ADB connection will be made to this device. Okay, so yeah, that's all. The application has been installed. Let's see. Yes, here we've got this clicking game, a wonderful, I hope it's visible, a flower. This should be a flower. Let's open this one, and here we have it. Does this look amazing? Absolutely right. So let's close this part. Okay, so what is this game about? I mean, the principle is super simple, and if you look at this, you might think, well, this is absolutely dumb. But I can name you 10 games which exactly rely on this principle that have millions of downloads. Okay, so let's see. We've got some fancy looking apples over here, and yeah, what we need to do is we need to collect them. If we click on an apple, then we can see the score increases, the apple turns gray for a certain amount of time, and during this gray phase we cannot click it once again. So our aim right now would be reaching a score from about, let's say, 500,000. Okay, let's see how quick we can get there. Alright, we are collecting all of them, and we can see they disappear randomly. So there's a random number generator that blocks this apple for a certain amount of time. Okay, I'm at 2000. You know what? Okay, I give up right now. This is absolutely dumb to play this to level till 500,000, right? So let's try automating this process. And this one is super easy with the pointer location. So here we've got the coordinates, X and Y. And what we can do is we can send touch events based on coordinates. We can also send text and other stuff, but for now touch events would be right enough. Okay, so let's see. Here we can see the coordinates are 556, 527. We do not need to be very precise because this area is pretty large where we can click on. So I would suggest 520 to 548, for example. Okay, now's the question, how can we send this touch event? And the answer for this one is once again the ADB shell. So let's go back into this one. ADB shell. Okay, I put this on the right side that we can see it. The command we're using is input. And this command looks a little bit complex, but I guess it isn't that complex. So we've got input. Okay. Then we've got the sources, and the sources are D-pad, keyboard, mouse, touchpad, gamepad, joystick, touchscreen, and so on. In our case right now, we want to send an event to the touchscreen. Therefore, we are using simply just the touchscreen. Okay. Then we've got display ID. This can be ignored. Then we've got a command. Commands will be found over here. And then we've got the arguments for this command. So therefore, let's have a look. Input text would mean default location is touchscreen. We can send a text to a touchscreen. This is absolutely handy if you test banking applications, that you have to fill out 10-digit numbers and yeah, always typing in them on the screen is super annoying. Therefore, you can write your own script based on this one. But we do not want to send text, we want to send touch events, and this is what we are having here, tap. Tap is a touch event on the screen. We can also send swipe commands, which is also pretty amazing. So here we have to define the starting point of the swipe command, for example here, the end coordinates of the swipe command, for example over here, and then the duration, how long we should swipe. So let's say 500 milliseconds, then we would have something like this. Can be useful in games. We will definitely use this later on in an application. I mean, later on in an application, I'm super excited to tell you already about this. We will hack an app to be invincible, invisible, get infinitive lives, coins, high score, things like this. And then we will use the swipe command to fully automate this game. Sounds absolutely ridiculous, right? So we will hack a game and then we will automate this game that we do not have to play it anymore. Yes, it doesn't make it that much fun anymore, but it's really exciting to watch. So this is what we're going to do later on in this course. Alright, but for now, let's get back to our game. We want to send input tap and then we need to provide those coordinates. I got a little bit too hyped up right now, sorry for this. Okay, I focus right now on the topic. So input tap. Let's try this out. Let's get, for example, this apple. 750, 756, okay? 750, 756. We have to wait. Okay, now it's ready again. So I'm doing this in 3, 2, 1. Amazing, right? So we can see the apple has been pressed. What we need to do is simply getting all these coordinates and then performing this in a while loop and we're done. Let's do this. And to do this, I also want to introduce an code editor, which is super handy. The code editor is Visual Studio Code, and this one has some nice features like multi-cursor, which are super handy during this course. To download it, let's simply search for it. So simply Visual Studio Code, and if you go into code.visualstudio.com, then we already get this Debian package. I have downloaded it and now we simply install it. So over here I've got this Debian package and now I'm performing right click, open in terminal. And now it's, oh yes, I was already typing adb install, but I mean we are here on the Linux system. So to install this package we need root privileges and dpkg-i and then the package name. We're inserting our password and now this Visual Studio Code editor will be installed. Alright, it took a while, but we're good to go. So let's close this and now on activities we simply can search for code and here we have it. So now let's open this one. We create a new file and then we can also select the language on the bottom right. So I mean we could select for example shell script. But our shell script is not that huge that I'm not sure if there's even an syntax highlighting for this one. Alright, but before we go into shell scripting, let's first collect these data and then write the script, okay? So we need to get those coordinates. Let's do this once again. 746, 748. 746, 748. This one is 20545. This one is 25664. This one is 134, and this one is 900, 170. Yes, this should be fine. Okay, so now we've got these coordinates and we need to insert input tab in front of all of them. And now we can make use of the multi-cursor highlight. So we can, for example, hit Ctrl F and then we can provide this one, this asterisk, which means we can play around with regular expressions. I know, I'm also not a big fan of regular expressions, but a few of them are super handy. For example, if you want to insert a text in front of every single line right now, what we can do is we can say, please select me the first character of every line. And all we need to do is hitting this one, which is the beginning of the line. And oh, that's already enough. Amazing, right? So that's already enough. We do not need to have this dot. Yes. So that's enough. Okay. And now I'm hitting Option Enter. And we get this blinking cursor. So now I can simply select or type in input tab. And we have selected or inserted a text in front of every line. So we have now the half of our script already ready. But first let's see if the coordinates are correct. So let's copy them. Now let's go back into our ADB shell and now let's insert them. Okay, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Perfect. All coordinates has been hit. We have get a lot of points, but we do not want to repeat this over and over again. We want to have this in an infinite loop. And yes, I'm not even being close a good bash scripter, but at least some basic features are available for me right now, and these are enough during this course. I guess we are not using bash during this course anymore. Yes, we are not using it because later we rely on Python. But keep in mind, if we are performing something with ADB, if we get the Python framework on our laptop, then we can also use this in a script. But all the time an ADB connection is being made, the command is being executed, and we have to wait. So therefore, in my opinion, the best option to run a bash script for this device is running it on the device, like in this shell over here. Okay, so that's the best performance, even if the performance is at all not that good. All right, but back to this one. So how can we put this into an infinite loop in bash? One option is looking on Stack Overflow. I guess this is also the best option, but I mean, this is something which is not too hard. So we can simply say while true, and normally I would immediately add this colon, but this is Python syntax, not bash. So while true, then we have to tell where the loop begins. We are doing this with do, so please execute those commands. And then we need to tell when we are finished, so simply done. And that's all. So this is our whole script to hack this game over here, which can be applied to other online games, but therefore you have to ask for permission. All right, so let's copy this. Let's put this on the right, and then let's start this in 3, 2, 1. Oh, nice, isn't it? So now we can lean back and relax while this app is being played by the script over here. So this principle, I mean, it doesn't look that nice, but you can imagine a lot of games where exactly this one is required. Sitting there for hours and hours and simply hitting your screen to collect certain things. Alright, so this is all for this video right now. You do not have to wait until you hit the 500,000 points to move on in this course. If you want to stop this, we can simply hit Ctrl+C and then the script simply stops. As already mentioned, at the beginning, the tempo right now is a little bit high, but all of this, take this as an impression and not as a learning experience. Regarding to the next video, we will have a look into the Bluetooth Low Energy connection, and this one might be also a little bit overwhelming at the beginning. I just want to show you some tricks to analyze this, and during this course, it's not longer being required. So during this course, we will perform some really awesome and complex hacks, but we will explain them very deeply. So we will start slow and then we will raise this curve slowly and steady, okay? So yes, as already mentioned, take this as an impression, and otherwise I'm looking forward to see you in the next video.